Well, the future of Minnesota's most famous river is in danger. That's according to a new report that ranked the Mississippi among the most endangered in the country.
The Mississippi River, America's iconic waterway, a corridor of commerce, culture, and untamed natural power, has always captured the nation's imagination. Stretching nearly 2,350 miles from Minnesota to the Gulf of Mexico, the Mississippi's winding current carves through the heartland, connecting bustling cities and forgotten towns, fertile farmlands, and wild forests. Its muddy banks bear witness to centuries of exploration, tribulation, and renewal. Yet, beneath its placid surface, a silent upheaval is unfolding. In 2025, a leading conservation organization delivered a chilling verdict. The Mississippi River has become the most endangered river in the nation. But what exactly threatens this ancient artery of life, whose restless waters once carried steamboats, pioneers, and dreams? The answer, it seems, lies hidden below the surface, in places unseen and forces still being unraveled. Recent discoveries have sent shockwaves through the scientific community and beyond. Geologists have uncovered troubling evidence. Cracks and fractures are appearing deep beneath the Mississippi's riverbed, within foundational layers of the earth. Satellite radar images have revealed significant fissures, some stretching hundreds of meters below, tearing silently through strata that have long shaped North America. The findings are so troubling that geologists have issued a rare red alert, warning of cascading consequences that could reshape the river, the lands it crosses, and all who depend on its immense resources. But what do these mysterious cracks portend for the Mississippi, for the communities along its banks, and for the balance of nature it sustains? Could catastrophe, once unimaginable, lurk just beneath the water's surface? Join us as we look beneath the Mississippi's surface to uncover the forces now reshaping one of North America's greatest natural wonders. How did these fractures form? What risks do they pose in an era marked by environmental and seismic uncertainty? And what mysteries does the river still hold beneath its timeless flow?
To study the Mississippi River Delta system, the delta supports important ecosystems but requires a delicate balance of water and soil flowing down the river to maintain them.
Cracks in the deep, uncovering the Mississippi's hidden fault lines. The recent discovery stunned even experienced geologists. In the spring of 2025, a series of newly released interferometric synthetic aperture radar images, known as INSAR, shed unprecedented light on what lies beneath the Mississippi River. These images, designed to detect subtle surface displacements and crustal movements, revealed a network of deep, jagged cracks and fractures cutting through the river's bed. Unlike surface-level fissures in silt or mud, these chasms run far deeper, extending into bedrock, in some cases for hundreds of meters beneath the river. But what might be triggering this dramatic transformation in the river's very foundation? Seeking answers, scientists are combing through decades of geological data, seismic records, and satellite imagery. Early hypotheses point to the influence of the New Madrid seismic zone, an area of known tectonic activity within the Mississippi Valley. The New Madrid region is infamous among geologists. In the early 1800s, a series of powerful earthquakes rocked the central United States, powerful enough to momentarily reverse the Mississippi's flow. Yet until now, the riverbed itself appeared largely steadfast. The appearance of these new and deeper fractures suggests a changing reality, a river basin not as unyielding or stable as previously thought. Geologists have constructed a timeline. In recent years, minor seismic tremors, too faint for most people to feel, have hinted at accumulating stress far below. Now it appears that some of that stress has been released as deep, branching cracks. Whether these result from slow tectonic movements, sudden shifts beneath the crust, or a mix of factors, one fact is clear: the ground beneath the river is no longer as stable as once believed. High-resolution satellite images show slender fissures rippling outward beneath the riverbed, sometimes matching known faults, and at other times forging new paths. In places, these cracks converge, forming scars beneath the Mississippi's course. But why do these deep cracks matter? To a lay observer, they might seem like mere geological oddities, insignificant next to the Mississippi's immense flow. Yet for scientists, they serve as early warning signs, potential harbingers of ecological change, structural instability, and growing risks for communities that rely on the river's bounty. Could these cracks, once viewed as quirks of nature, actually foreshadow events that could transform the landscape on a vast scale? A seismic underworld, the New Madrid seismic zone, awakens. To appreciate the gravity of the cracks dissecting the Mississippi's bed, it's essential to understand the seismic context of the region, especially the New Madrid seismic zone. This area, spanning parts of Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Illinois, is one of the most seismically active east of the Rocky Mountains. Between December 1811 and February 1812, the New Madrid region unleashed a series of earthquakes among the strongest in American history. The violence toppled chimneys in cities, sank landscapes, and set the Mississippi flowing backward. The force of the shocks was felt hundreds of miles away, reminders of the hidden instability beneath this otherwise tranquil river valley. Though no similar devastation has occurred since, scientists recognize the region's ongoing restlessness. Small, barely perceptible tremors still ripple through the zone, a constant reminder that stress remains deep underground. The cracks discovered underneath the Mississippi are likely linked to this background of seismicity. Many fractures appear to track ancient faults, only now visible to geologists thanks to cutting-edge satellite imagery. In this shifting network of faults and fissures, every tremor or quake holds potential to open new cracks, shift old ones, or set off unexpected changes. But how do these structural weaknesses affect the river's persistent current? The Mississippi's power is not just in its water, but in its interaction with land. Its flow erodes weaker rock, widens fissures, and can open up the riverbed even more during times of flood or high water. The implications are serious. While the great New Madrid earthquakes were swift and violent, today's threat may be more gradual, quiet, cumulative, but no less real. The cracks, then, are not merely features on a map. They are dynamic and active reminders that the geological foundation of the Mississippi is shifting. Does this mean the Mississippi stands on the brink of another great convulsion, or that slower, hidden changes are more likely to alter the landscape over time? Red alert: how cracks change the course of water and life. A red alert from geologists is a serious summons for attention. Such a designation isn't handed out lightly, reserved for findings that threaten to disrupt landscapes, endanger lives, or upend ecosystem. The appearance of cracks splintering the Mississippi River's deep foundational layers raised enough alarm to justify this rare warning. Why such urgency now? The answer lies in the delicate equilibrium that governs the river's natural function and the communities that rely on its flows. Cracks in the bedrock are not isolated wounds. They are potential pathways for change, with impacts both immediate and far-reaching. Consider the riverbed, a layered mix of rock, sediment, and sand built up over eons. It supports everything from ships to sensitive wildlife. When fractures appear deep beneath the surface, they become channels that can redirect water in unexpected ways and loosen the ground above. One risk is increased vulnerability to flooding. If river water finds its way into subsurface hollows, erosion can further destabilize the bed and riverbanks, sometimes leading to sudden collapses. There are historical examples of rivers changing course after underlying support failed, swallowing fields, roads, or entire neighborhoods. the disruption extends to the river's intricate web of ecosystems. Marshes, forests, and wetlands all depend on relatively stable flow patterns and the subtle exchange of nutrients. New cracks can alter currents, drain backwaters, or collapse habitats. In these environments, minor shifts in water or sediment level can have outsized impacts. That's why conservationists have sounded the alarm, declaring the Mississippi the most endangered river of 2025. Their concern isn't only for the visible, short-term impacts, but for possible longer-term ecological effects, economic disruption, and threats to water supply for agriculture and communities. What happens when the hidden underpinning of a mighty river begins to fracture? Could these fissures be the first signs of changes that may eventually echo all along the river's length? Satellite eyes, watching danger unfold from space. Advances in science have provided new ways to observe the world, and none is more impactful in the realm of geology than satellite sensing. The INSAR technology at the heart of this story has made visible what once was hidden far beneath the water's surface. By measuring small changes in the Earth's crust from hundreds of miles above, INSAR provides key insights into how the landscape is shifting. In the case of the Mississippi, it was INSAR imagery that revealed previously undetected cracks in the riverbed, indicating places where the ground is moving or separating, sometimes over surprisingly short timescale. Recent images show cracks radiating outward, some following established fault lines, and others appearing to chart new territory through the rock. Where the riverbed crosses active regions within the New Madrid seismic zone, these fractures are more frequent, and in some areas appear to be spreading. Perhaps most striking is the pace of change. INSAR data, collected over months, shows that some cracks lengthen or branch in relatively short periods. These are not just slow evolutions over centuries. They can represent swift changes in ground stability with tangible effects on the river above. For engineers, these findings are crucial. Infrastructure, such as bridges, levees, and water treatment plants, depend upon stable foundations. If the ground begins to shift, so too must our approaches to design, maintenance, and risk assessment. Yet, the more we learn from satellite data, the more questions arise. What triggers new cracks to form or expand? How might future earthquakes or floods interact with these weaknesses? How far can current technology take us in understanding or predicting what lies ahead? Even with these new eyes in the sky, uncertainty remains ever present. Ecosystems on the edge, nature's response to a fractured foundation. The Mississippi has always been much more than a shipping channel. It is a lifeline for diverse and sometimes fragile ecosystems. Its waters support wetlands, forests, and floodplains teeming with life, from ancient stands of cypress to countless species of migratory birds and fish. All of these life forms depend not just on water, but on a stable and reliable foundation beneath. Deep cracks now splaying through the riverbed pose direct threats to this delicate balance. Fissures can change how underground water flows, allowing trapped groundwater to escape or permitting water to seep in from below. These movements can alter the salinity, temperature, or sediment load of the river in particular places, possibly making habitats less suitable for species that require steady conditions. Riverine wetlands are particularly sensitive. Many marshes and floodplains rely on seasonal flooding to replenish nutrients and maintain biodiversity. If cracks disrupt the hydrology, causing water to drain unexpectedly or cutting off backwaters, entire habitats may be left high and dry. There's also a risk that cracks could act as conduits for pollution. If agricultural runoff or chemicals seep through these new pathways into the water table, there could be consequences for food webs and drinking water supplies alike. Already, some reports from local anglers and environmental observers describe changes in spawning grounds or the behavior of certain bird species, potential early signals of deeper ecological disruption. When conservationists named the Mississippi America's most endangered river in 2025, it was in part due to these risks. recognizing how quickly an ecosystem can unravel when its foundation is disturbed. As cracks spread beneath the river, can the living system adjust, or will the ecological networks that rely on stable flows and substrates unravel? Communities at the crossroads, when rivers become unpredictable. The Mississippi is not merely a landmark, it is a foundation for life and livelihood for millions. Cities, farms, factories, ports, and transportation routes all hug its banks, depending on the river's reliability. But when cracks appear beneath that foundation, uncertainty follows. What does an unstable riverbed mean for daily life and commerce on the river? First among risks is flooding. As cracks open new channels below, water could find paths to the surface in unexpected places, undermining levees and turning fields into temporary lakes. Traditional flood maps may lose their predictive value, making emergency planning far more challenging. Engineering challenges mount as well. Infrastructure, bridges, pipelines, levees, and even buildings must be evaluated in light of new geological instability. Subtle shifts underfoot can translate into costly or dangerous problems for utilities or transportation networks above. Communities throughout the valley may already feel the effects. Insurance rates rise, planning grows more cautious, and economic worries spread along with unease about future storms or floods. Yet if the risks are real, so too is the resilience of river communities. History shows these towns can adapt, cooperating across boundaries and investing in new technologies, monitoring, and emergency readiness. Volunteers set up watch on riverbanks, city officials increase monitoring, and planners weigh new strategies to protect lives and critical assets. In a changing river valley, people are learning to adapt to shifting conditions, embracing preparedness and flexibility as the new norms. A living archive, the riverbed's geological testament. The new cracks in the Mississippi riverbed are not just a sign of present-day risk. They're part of a much older story. The land beneath the river records millions of years of geological history, continents drifting, ice sheets retreating, and fault lines reawakening after long periods of calm. The river's path has changed many times, carving out new channels and abandoning old ones. Past floods and earthquakes have sent the Mississippi wandering, its course marked by scars buried in the sediment. These newly mapped cracks may trace out ancient fault lines or coincide with places where old channels were once active. By studying the new fissures, geologists are not only monitoring risk, they're decoding the river's long and turbulent history. Core samples and satellite records are being collected and examined, seeking patterns that might help forecast future risks or illuminate how the river has handled dramatic upheaval in the past. This knowledge is invaluable for designing stronger infrastructure and for recalibrating how we understand water, earth, and resilience along the Mississippi's banks. In this sense, every crack tells two stories, one of quiet disaster unfolding and one of constant change over ages, a reminder that the river and its surroundings are always being reshaped. The unresolved mystery. What comes next for the mighty river? The cracks forming beneath the Mississippi River are more than geological curiosities. They've shifted the conversation about the river's future. The declaration of red alert signals the seriousness of what's at stake, from fragile habitats to the lifeways of millions dependent on safe, reliable water and transport. As 2025 progresses, much remains uncertain. What will happen if the cracks lengthen, widen, or multiply with every small seismic jolt or seasonal flood? Could the river, once held between familiar banks, break free and carve new courses, leaving farms, neighborhoods, and even whole towns in the path of change? Or is this a slow-motion evolution, unfolding gradually, but inevitably, over generations? Scientists admit the limits of knowledge. Models and maps provide guidance, but the true interplay of water, rock, and fault is always a story in progress, never fully predictable. That leaves decision-makers grappling with complex choices: adapt infrastructure, reinforce cities, monitor risks, or prepare to move and change as the river itself does. Despite the anxiety, the Mississippi continues to awe. Its resilience and unpredictability are woven into its legend, inspiring new forms of adaptation and unity among those who rely on it. Will the cracks be harbingers of disaster or catalysts for innovation and resolve? What future will be inscribed in the river's restless bedrock, and who will act on the lessons of today's warning? The Mississippi's journey, like its ceaseless flow, remains open and ongoing. The story told by these underriver cracks is one of nature's power and humankind's capacity to observe, act, and adapt. What about you? What do you find most astonishing about these recent revelations? Is it the magnitude of geological forces concealed beneath the waters, the steadiness of river communities, or the technology that now reveals what was once hidden? Stay with us as we continue exploring the dynamic, ever-changing landscapes of North America. In our next episode, we'll venture to another region where the Earth's power is on display. So don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for the latest in scientific discovery.